Kia ora, tēnā koutou, hello and welcome to episode 13 of ThaumCraft with Birdtross. I have a terrible confession. What you're actually looking at here is actually pre-recorded video for the episode that I made. I just made the episode, and turns out that I didn't have my sound on. So I was actually talking over this into my microphone and everything, and I didn't actually check if the microphone was on. The story is that I actually today, as you can see, the video quality of the episode today is actually a lot better. That's because I went ahead and I finally gotten Fraps. For those who aren't aware, Fraps is probably the leader in terms of actual screen capture software. Normally I've used a program called Procaster, which is used to live stream onto Livestream's website, Livestream. But anyway, yeah, so what we're looking at here is the spawner. I've gone ahead and put a picture of me on the ground as well. It's sort of made a bit of art on the wall. It's not quite finished yet, but pretty much going to be spending the rest of the episode, well, the rest of this part of the episode, showing you guys exactly how it works. A comment suggested that I should put the dark infuser in here. Thank you for that comment. I went ahead and did that. I added a bunch of tanks here. I added a second tank, and then, yeah. So that's how much taint and stuff we've got in there. I've been using up a bit of my taint to produce stuff using the dark infuser. It's kind of cool how I'm actually sitting here right now looking at this playback of the episode, and I'm pretty much able to sort of almost guess what I'm saying here. But anyway, yeah. Now I'm pretty much explaining how the conduit system works now, but then I think I get to the point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm actually just going to show you guys. So I think this is probably where I end it. Yeah, so I was using Fraps a lot to pretty much making cuts and stuff in the video. But anyway, so I'm just going to quickly go ahead now and pretty much show off how the conduit system works, I think. Now I'm pretty much saying what I used to do is used to have water here in the last episode to get the items down into the crucible. I found out a new system for that using seals. There's an air, dark, earth combination which I hadn't tried before, which actually it doesn't actually suck the items into a chest, which is the seal that I was using before. And I found out that seal combination, and I was using that. You can see it down there. So the idea is that the conduits have to go underneath the crucible at this point because they can't go through, so I've had to pretty much make one extra layer just to go underneath the crucible using the conduits, and then underneath that there's the seal. And then the above the crucible there's one block of space, which I'm probably going to get to probably at the end of this demonstration of my mob system here. So that seal's just going to be sucking in items. Now none of the seals are actually going to reach that seal because the idea is that they get pulled in from quite a long distance away actually, but they fall into the crucible first is how that works, and then obviously it terminates because the item is destroyed. So now I'm just about to patch up the floor now that I've shown you guys the underneath the behind the scenes bit. Probably the most amount of work on the spawner system occurred underneath the ground. You don't even see it. So yeah, at the very start of the video I pulled a lever to open the door and turn on a redstone lamp. That's a new feature that I added, so that the redstone lamp pretty much turns on whenever I'm in here, otherwise it's off and so the zombies can spawn and the door is also closed. So yeah, right there is the sticky piston which pushes the red wool over the crucible so that none of the items actually fall into the crucible, and then I can just stand on the other side of the glass and pretty much just have to stand there and just collect the rotten flesh. I haven't found a system yet to see if I can automate the picking up of the zombie flesh yet. Anyway, that lever way over there in the corner is how I activate the piston, so that I can do all the pretty much control the entire system from this side of the glass, which is pretty cool. Now I'm not quite sure what I'm about to show you next. Okay, so yeah, this is where I have to stand to pick up the rotten flesh. Yeah. And then I just put all the spare rotten flesh into this chest, and that's a bunch of rotten flesh that I had just lying around my base, which I just threw in there right now. And yeah, so the next part of this thing that I'm showing you, I think, is what we're standing on right now, the Vis valve. This is a new type of block. You don't have to research this, but basically how it works is that when it's off like it is right now, no vis is allowed to travel through it. I'm just going through showing you guys the recipe, and there it is there. It uses 2 conduits and a lever, like so, in a crafting table. And yeah, so you right click it to turn on the vis valve, and it stays on of its own accord, no problem, and vis is allowed to pass through. Notice that no taint actually passes through the vis valve because there's no pressure pull from the filter on the other side there for vis, because it only pulls in taint to pump it out. So yeah, it's only pulling taint. So that's kind of a neat little feature, so there's no sort of vis getting stuck in the pipe. And then of course taint just goes out into the atmosphere. Now the reason I added that is because of the dark infuser. I might want to use the dark infuser down here to produce some, dark infuser items, some like, tainted or forbidden items, which I've already done actually, which is why the taint level was so low. So you can just go ahead and right click it again and turn off the vis flow. And if you're using redstone, you can actually use that too. This responds to a redstone signal, so you can use a lever and wire and so on, and get that working as well. I didn't bother automating that with a lever because, I'm standing so close to it, it's almost no point. So I think I'm about to flip the lever and get the system going again. So yeah, as you can see, I just close the door and the redstone lamp does its thing. And so yeah, I also made some items down here already with the dark infuser. I think I'm about to end this part of the video. Oh no, I'm not actually. Now what I was saying at this point actually is that you guys, I found this dog, this wolf, out in the wild. I used a couple of bones to tame him, and he teleported up to the top of my treehouse, and he's been sitting there pretty much ever since. So I'm basically leaving it up to the community to name him. Please leave a comment on what you think our wolfy friend here should be called. I'll pick the one that I like the most, or gets a lot of ratings or something. So yeah, get your name in. I can't choose it if you don't tell me, kind of deal. Now in this next clip I'm showing off my my new system for collecting vis. It's using a condenser, and I've got a tank next to it. And underneath the tanks and stuff there are all these conduits which I've all pre-wired and stuff, so it's all good. There's that spot there's going to be for a tank, and that there for a tank, and then that's going to be another condenser. So I'm going to have 2 condensers on this wall producing vis for me whenever I throw a crystal in, assuming I ever get more crystals. But yeah, so the conduits, they run underneath the system, underneath the treehouse floor, just like so. I think I'm about to show you. Yeah, there we go. So they go along there like so. And the first one goes into the infuser. And then this part of the wall is going to be for my ThaumCraft items, which is kind of neat. So yeah, I think I'm about to show you the pretty much behind the scenes. Yeah, so that's a vis pump which is giving us a bunch of vis to go forth into the duplicator and any further items that we have yet to research. Shh. But yeah, I'm just kind of preparing for the future there with the vis pump, because otherwise there's not enough what's the word? Pressure? Yeah, pressure to go through to the other side. So that's what the pump is for, to increase the pressure flow, which I believe we discussed in one of the earlier episodes. So in this next part I'm pretty much just going to be showing off what I've been doing with all the sugarcane that I've been getting. I've got a bunch of books. I've got 2 stacks worth of books there. And I also made the pickaxe of the core. I'm not sure if I've showed that off before, but I've been using it as well. And I was actually using it in version 2.1.3 of the mod, where it destroyed a bunch of blocks, but now it actually has a different function. I made the Wand of Bone and the Charm of the Dead off camera as well. I've been playing around with the Charm of the Dead a little bit to see whether or not I can actually put it onto my chest blade like I wanted to before, but it doesn't seem to want to go into the arm slots. So I basically just assumed that, if you just have it on your hotbar in your inventory or something, it'll work just fine. And the Wand of Bone, I'm probably not going to be using that very often, because if you remember, it actually summons a skeletal minion, which I'm not exactly interested in at the moment. Probably the only situation I would use the Wand of Bone is if I'm spelunking and I get like ambushed by like 5 skeletons, so I can just quickly summon myself a skeleton with it. I've also got a bunch of soul sand and leftover materials basically from the spawner there, those runic essences in particular as well. In there I've got my crucible in there, and all these theories. I had a comment suggesting that I should throw those theories into the crucible. I believe I'm about to do that very quick soon, when I basically find out that I don't actually have a crucible set up in here. So I think I'm about to go and take my crucible and set it up and throw them in, just to see how much vis I get out of them. It's not actually as much as I thought I was going to get. I thought I was going to get, because the comments suggested that I would get a surprising amount. I didn't find the amount that they gave out surprising, to be honest. But yeah, so I'm about to just throw them in. Now all the theories that I'm throwing in right now are double ups. I've already got them, I've already researched them, so those theories are like completely useless to me. And I believe you can even throw in your discoveries as well, but I'm not going to do that, I don't think. No, unless there's major public outcry, as usual, but there never ever seems to be, so I'm not too concerned about using up those. So I'm just going to throw my harnessed rages in there. And at the moment I'm kind of wondering why is the vis sort of like stuck in my system and not in the tanks. And I'm not quite sure what's going on there with why they're not falling into the tanks. Something I'm probably going to have to look at off camera, but right now I'm basically just more concerned about throwing my theories into my system. And then at this point I was basically quantifying just how much I could get out of it, and I did a fantastic job, I think, there. Okay, no, I actually did manage to find out it was 20, total of 20 vis, and, well, 10 vis and 10 taint for that particular one, so 20 in total, not bad. Certainly a lot of these just lying around. Oh, I completely forgot to mention I've got a bunch of soul sand sitting in my chest. I went to the nether to get some. And then I decided to set up a filter because I wanted pure vis in this system here. It's okay to have taint in the spawner system, but I don't want any taint in that system. So perhaps another major change that's occurred around my world here is this farm. So basically I had to go around and herd up some cows and sheep and stuff, and the reason that I got cows is because when Minecraft 1.3 comes out, books are going to need, they're going to need like cow leather in order to make them. So I got the cows from, there's tons of them around, so that was pretty easy. The sheep, however, were quite difficult. I had to go quite far abroad to get back 2 sheep to start a little breeding program, and that's where the wool came from for the zombie spawner. So I made this before I made this, the finishing touches on the spawner. And I've just got a chest here of all sorts of random stuff, and hang on. No, that's what I actually said in the series. I was like, wait, people, what? That's what I said in the episode. Well, in the actual recording, which didn't record, but yeah. I was just sort of like, well, why? There was supposed to be some axes in there. There was some sort of, I don't know, some kind of save file corruption or something that happened. It crops up again quite soon. We'll see more of that, but yeah. So I got a little tree farm going there, and by tree farm I mean not really a tree farm at all. Just sort of me using bone meal on that. Oh man, me recording in Fraps looks actually quite impressive. Even on my computer, it's great. So I think I'm about to sort of say, well, let's show you guys quickly what's happening in Operation Crystal. Nothing really, and I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. I think I said that I did a harvest in between. And yeah, you can see my inventory there. Well, I'm not sure if you were able to see quick enough, but yeah, I've actually got the items from that chest in my inventory already. That's the other example of some kind of save corruption that happened. So yeah, not quite sure what's happening on that front. Hopefully it won't happen again, but yeah. I made this bookcase chest down here. so I can store my bookcases. And what is going on? So right now I'm basically showing off that the contents of the chest is already in my inventory as kind of proof that there was some sort of save corruption that occurred. And then basically at this point I'm saying, you know, well, who's to blame? Is it the update to 2.1.4? Is it Azinor's fault? Is it Jeb's fault? I have no idea whose it was, but yeah, just something that I noticed. So we're heading back here, and I think this is the point at which I decided that I wanted to actually get something done this episode and do some research. Because of the distorted skulls being used to make the Charm of the Dead, I'm kind of hesitant to use those in research anymore, even though, you know, distorted skulls, they drop from the smart zombies. So I'm going to take my hard-won stack of bookcases. Oh yes, and you can see, I'm not sure if I showed this off, but I did make one brain in a jar, which kind of looks at you and sends out the information sparks, just like normal bookcases do. So yeah, and then I was basically saying, you know, you can kind of expect in the background to see, you know, me placing more and more jars in the background as time goes on. So now I'm basically just researching whatever I can. So now I basically found 2 fragments of lost knowledge out of a lot of those bookcases, and I'm going to go on ahead, and I've made these 2 theories out of them pretty much immediately. We've got the Wand of Reversal and the Crucible of Eyes. I'm basically sort of saying right now that I don't want to do the Tortuous because I've been informed by one of my viewers not to do tortuous research because it really is tortuous. So basically just go ahead and make the Crucible of Eyes. I finally did manage to make the Crucible of Eyes after about like 20 seconds, so no big deal. And this is the recipe for it. This crucible holds more vis and is more efficient than the basic crucible, and when it is nearly full it will emit a redstone signal. So it's a basic upgrade to your standard crucible, and it uses that crucible, spider eye and some redstone in its recipe, along with 25 vis, so it's quite cheap actually. So basically just sort of say, do I have any spider eyes? Yes. Do I have any redstone? Yes. Then I'm basically like, okay, cool, let's do it. So yeah, I basically spend the next couple of minutes just, well, not a couple of minutes, probably like the next minute or so, just pulling out my crucible, which was sitting there, pump a huge amount of taint into the atmosphere in the process, and get it going. Spider eye and the redstone, there you go, bird. It's funny how it's much easier to see stuff when you're just observing. But yeah, alright, we've got our Crucible of Eyes. So it looks kind of different, and it's got that weird red thing on it, which is, I guess, is supposed to represent the redstone signal emission type deal there. So I just pop my discovery in there, just to keep it nice and safe. And I'm not quite sure what I did after this. I think I probably... I'm not quite... Yeah, okay. What are you doing, bird? What are you looking for? I've forgotten what bird was looking for. Of course. I think it was the glowstone, yeah, because he wanted to make some night ore. And then, because I was going to throw some night ore in to see how efficient it was in comparison, you know, with the 15 versus 15 from your regular crucible. But then it occurred to me that, you know, the vis is probably not going to stay in there because of all the conduits. So I decided against it, I think. Or maybe I did throw it in. I can't quite remember if I did. But I sort of said here, okay, no, I did throw it in. And then I said, 1 vis! Yes! It's a completely pure vis gain. But yeah. So basically just went back to researching bookcases, and then at this point I was pretty much saying, you know, I'm using up a ton of bookcases with my research and I'm not getting anything, and then I get 2 fragments of lost knowledge in pretty much 2 hits. So I was like, yes, awesome! And then I go ahead and get 2 in one go completely, which was, I kind of ate my own words on YouTube, and I just did it again. So we just go ahead and research those, and I get some very interesting items actually. We get the inert carpet, one of the new boys on the block for 2.1.3b, but I get something even newer, the self-repair enchantment. Very cool item. I'm not quite sure how it works, but I'll get more on that once we get to it. And then the final thing that I get is the Thaumium Crucible, which is again an upgrade to the Crucible of Eyes. So I went from, you know, your basic Crucible all the way up to the pretty much the max tier Crucible in like one episode, which is kind of cool. So at this point I'm kind of deciding, what do I want to research? The inert carpet, the self-repair enchantment, or the Thaumium Crucible? And I choose the self-repair enchantment. And we rejoin the action once I get my self-repair enchantment, and I'm very excited to see what this actually is. And it says, items imbued with this enchantment will slowly repair themselves over time. The mystical energy required for this enchantment is drawn directly out of the local aura. Now, I thought that this was quite a cool item, but I have no idea how it works, to be honest, because there's no crafting recipe, there's no sort of directions about how to actually get it. So I basically, at this point, I'm just assuming that it sort of adds itself to the random kind of enchantments that you can get out of your tools. You know, things like Silk Touch and, you know, Sharpness and Bane of Arthropods and those sorts of enchantments. So you just kind of get it randomly. And at this point, I'm kind of excited to see if I can make myself the... what's it called again? The Thaumium Enchanter? The Thaumic Enchanter? Something like that. So I'm about to grab out my Thaumonometer, I think. Yeah, there we go. To sort of say, well, how do we make the enchanter? And then I just have a little weird moment where I'm deciding where it is, and there it is. And it takes the extract of purest magic, and I eventually find out that I don't actually have the materials to make the enchantment of purest magic, so I was kind of disappointed. So once again, guys, I'm kind of sorry that I had to do this voiceover. I'm a complete noob when it came to Fraps. I didn't actually check whether or not my microphone was recording, and I'm paying the price. So this is the point where I decided to wrap up the episode. And for next time, I am going to be checking my whether or not my microphone's on. You only ever make that kind of mistake once, and I'm glad I made it now rather than later, to be honest. And yeah, basically I decided this was a good point to end, basically, because I kind of got a lot done. We caught up, we got a bit of research done, and yeah, guys, see you next time. Don't forget to name our wolfy friend as well, by the way, guys.